Usually, when we talk about the laws of physics, there is this baseline expectation of total indifference.
Right, yeah, total indifference.
Like, take gravity, for example. You drop a coffee mug and it shatters all over the kitchen floor.
A tragedy, but yeah.
Right. But the universe doesn't care if it was your absolute favorite mug or if you were having just a completely terrible morning.
Or if you're, a generally good person who really didn't deserve to clean up ceramic shards before work.
Exactly. It's just cold, hard physics.
Right.
But then you step away from physics and you wander into the world of popular psychology or modern self-help.
Oh, yeah. The whole manifestation culture.
Right. And suddenly people are talking about the universe like it's a cosmic vending machine.
That is such a good way to put it.
You're told that if you just punch in the right high vibration thoughts, out pops a sports car or a soulmate.
Just drop your positive thoughts in the slot and wait for your prize.
We're looking at a landscape of manifestation that has taken an ancient, very specific concept and just turned it into magic.
It is the absolute definition of magical thinking. And frankly, it really muddies the waters of what is actually a very profound psychological truth.
Which is exactly why we are tearing the whole thing down today.
Yeah.
Welcome to this deep dive, by the way. Our mission today is to unpack a deeply misunderstood, age-old phrase.
As you believe, so shall it be done unto you.
That's the one. And we have fantastic stack of source material for this deep dive. We've got a highly detailed text, plus this incredibly intricate infographic.
Yeah, that infographic is wild. It diagrams the literal mechanical chain of belief, cause, and effect.
It really does. And to be clear right up front to you listening, this material completely strips away that magical promise.
Totally.
It doesn't suggest that the universe bends its own physical laws to accommodate our desires just because we made like a vision board.
No, the thesis we are looking at is so much more grounded than that. It lays out a rigorous framework about how human consciousness interacts with a completely neutral reality.
A completely neutral reality.
Right, to create actual observable chains of cause and effect. It's not about the universe granting wishes.
Yeah.
It's about how we literally construct the reality we end up living in, step by mechanical step.
But to really grasp what this text is saying, we have to start by just completely dismantling how most of us view the universe.
Which is hard to do.
It is. We have to strip away all of its supposed judgments about us. The sources refer to this as the cold, comforting neutrality of creation.
Comforting neutrality. It's such a fascinating juxtaposition,
Yeah, it really is.
The source material argues quite forcefully that creation, meaning the universe, physical reality, the laws governing existence, is entirely neutral.
It operates completely without preference.
Exactly. Human consciousness is the only variable in that equation that assigns meaning. We are the ones looking at an event and calling it good or bad or a reward or a punishment.
The infographic uses some wonderfully blunt examples to illustrate this too. It states very simply, gravity does not judge.
It really doesn't.
If you fall off a ladder, gravity doesn't pause halfway down to check your moral ledger.
Let me just consult the file here. Oh, you
Right.
tipped your barista. Okay, I'll slow your descent.
Right. It doesn't ask if you lied on your taxes last year and, adjust your acceleration accordingly.
No, and fire is another one. The text points out that fire doesn't decide if the person touching it deserves to be burned.
The law of cause and effect just operates.
There is no celestial entity micromanaging the flame. It is just rapid oxidation producing heat and light.
Yeah.
But humans have this profound, almost desperate psychological need to anthropomorphize the universe.
We really do. We want to believe it's keeping score.
We want to believe that if we do good things, the universe will reward us. And if we think bad thoughts, the universe will punish us.
Okay, hold on. I have to stop you there. Let's unpack this for a second.
Sure.
Because if the universe is entirely neutral and it doesn't care one bit about my positive or negative thoughts, why does belief matter at all?
That is the million-dollar question.
It sounds like you're saying we are just screaming into the void. If the universe doesn't care, what is the point of trying to cultivate a positive belief system?
Well, that is the natural wall everyone hits when they first encounter this concept. You're assuming that belief only matters if an external force is listening to it.
Right, like an audience.
Yeah, listening to it and reacting to it. But the text flips that entirely. Belief matters not because it changes the universe, but because it changes you.
Oh, wow. Okay.
The universe doesn't reward positive thinking or punish negative thinking. But when you change your belief, the causes you introduce into the world change.
Okay, let me see if I can translate this with an analogy.
Yeah.
It's like Think about the algorithm on a social media platform,
Oh, that's a good one.
right? The platform itself doesn't care if you are happy or sad or angry or peaceful. It's just a neutral piece of code.
Completely neutral.
But if your internal state makes you click on angry, divisive videos, the algorithm feeds you an entire world of anger and division.
Exactly. It's not punishing you.
It's just reflecting the inputs you are providing. It sounds like you're saying the universe is an empty operating system, and we're the ones installing the software.
That is a much more accurate way to look at it. If you are operating on fearful, defensive inputs, you are going to interact with the world fearfully.
You're going to click the angry video of real life.
Yes. You are going to introduce causes into a neutral reality that produce fearful effects. No supernatural intervention is required at all.
Because the fear creates the outcome.
Exactly. Creation doesn't have to punish you for being negative. The natural mechanical consequence of negative, fearful action is its own restrictive outcome.
So my belief changes my behavior, and my behavior operates within the existing neutral laws of physics and human interaction to create a result.
Yes, the text puts it perfectly. It says, belief does not make creation bend its laws. Belief changes us.
And when we change, the causes we introduce into creation change with us.
That's the quote, yeah.
Which is empowering, but let's be honest, it is also kind of terrifying.
Oh, it's deeply terrifying.
It places the responsibility for our experience entirely on our own shoulders. We can't blame a judgmental universe anymore.
No, we really can't.
But to actually change those causes we're introducing, the source material forces us to confront a really uncomfortable reality. And that is that what we think we believe isn't always what is actually running the show.
This is where the critique of standard self-help culture in the material gets incredibly sharp.
Yeah, it doesn't hold back.
The sources draw a massive uncrossable line between the illusion of positive thinking and true operative belief.
The gap between an opinion we consciously repeat and a belief that actually governs our consciousness.
Right, because according to the text, true operative beliefs are patterns of consciousness. They are not just words you say in the mirror.
Imagine a person who walks around all day just aggressively reciting affirmations.
Oh, we all know one.
Everything is going to work out. I am a magnet for success. Everything is fine.
They've got the sticky notes on the bathroom mirror.
Exactly. They listen to the motivational audiobooks on double speed.
Right.
On the surface, their thoughts are positive.
Right, on the surface.
And if we're honest, a lot of the time we are that person.
Oh, totally. But beneath those recited words, what is their nervous system actually doing?
Panicking, usually.
Right. What is their behavioral pattern? The text notes that their actions tell the true story. They expect rejection in meetings.
They constantly scan their environment for danger or criticism.
Yes. They avoid taking actual risks because they secretly anticipate failure. And they interpret any ambiguity, like, say, a boss taking too long to reply to an email, as a sign of impending doom.
Oh man, the unreturned email panic, it's real.
It is. They react defensively before anything has even happened.
I am exhausted just thinking about living like that. I mean, the absolute physiological toll of that cognitive dissonance.
It burns people out completely.
You have this conscious mantra screaming, I am successful, I am safe, while your subconscious is just keeping your nervous system in a constant state of fight or flight. So how do we actually know what our true beliefs are if we can't trust what we say? If the universe, or reality, whatever we call it, is responding to our inputs, which input is it taking? The sticky note or the panic?
It takes the panic.
Wow.
Because the panic dictates the behavior. What's fascinating here is that the source explicitly answers this. It says our operative beliefs are revealed solely by the evidence in our patterns.
The evidence in our patterns.
You never look at what a person says to determine their belief. You look at their expectations, their attention, their interpretations, their emotions, their choices, and ultimately, their behavior.
The infographic calls it patterns of consciousness.
Yes. Belief is a structure. It is considerably deeper and more structural than just forcing a positive thought over a negative feeling.
So if you want to know what you truly believe about your own worth, look at how you behave when someone gives you a compliment.
Oh, that's a perfect test. Do you deflect it? Do you assume they want something from you? Do you feel deeply uncomfortable?
Your reaction reveals the underlying structural belief, regardless of how many times you tell yourself you have high self-esteem.
Exactly. So the universe isn't listening to your words. It is interacting with the physical causes generated by your true structural beliefs.
And to see exactly how these hidden structures govern our lives, The source provides this really brilliant scenario.
The job loss scenario.
Yes, it walks through how two people can experience the exact same physical reality, the exact same event, and end up living in entirely different worlds. Let's look at how this plays out.
This is incredibly effective because it strips away all the esoteric philosophy and grounds the concept in everyday, brutal reality.
Okay, let's walk through it for you guys listening. At the most foundational level, the text insists that the event and the meaning are two completely separate things.
Separate things.
The neutral event in this scenario is simply employment ended. That is the physics of the situation.
The company downsized, the budget was cut, the role was eliminated. Those are neutral facts. The event itself has no inherent emotional charge, it just is.
But then we introduce human consciousness. Person A experiences this event, and their underlying belief structure immediately assigns meaning A.
Which is, this proves I'm a failure. Everything always goes wrong for me. I'll never recover from this.
And we can instantly see how that assigned meaning is going to cascade into physical reality.
The text traces the emotional and behavioral fallout step by step. Because person A assigned a meaning of total failure and victimhood, their resulting emotional state is going to be shame, fear, anger, and hopelessness.
And what is the physiological and behavioral result of shame and hopelessness?
You shrink.
The infographic shows they withdraw, they isolate themselves, they procrastinate on updating their resume because they think it's pointless anyway.
They harbor resentment, which then bleeds into their personal relationships.
And they miss new opportunities because their brain isn't even scanning the environment for opportunities anymore. It's scanning for more evidence that life is unfair.
The likely result, naturally, is stagnation.
Right. Now let's contrast that with person B. The exact same neutral event occurs. Employment ended.
But person B's consciousness operates on a different structural belief.
So they assign, meaning B, this is difficult, something has changed, what can I learn, and what possibilities exist now?
I think it's really important to highlight what person B does not do here.
Yes, please.
They don't say, this is the best day of my life. Getting fired is awesome.
Right, they aren't practicing toxic positivity or delusional optimism. They acknowledge the difficulty.
Exactly. They just assign a constructive meaning to it rather than a destructive one.
That nuance is critical. And
Yeah.
because of that constructive meaning, their emotional state is entirely different from person A.
They feel curiosity. They feel a sense of determination. They might feel stressed, sure, but they maintain an openness to the future.
And their behavior reflects that emotional state.
Mhm.
They update their resume, they network, they consider pivoting to a new industry, they take constructive action.
So we fast forward, say, 90 days.
Okay, 90 days later.
Person A is still on the couch, bitter, stuck, and running out of savings. Person B has had 5 interviews, reconnected with old colleagues, and is actively moving forward.
Now, here is why this matters to you listening to this right now. Did creation favor person B?
Did the universe look down, check its ledger, and say, I like person B better, let's give them a good outcome, and let's punish person A?
No, not at all. The exact same neutral event simply passed through 2 differently conditioned states of consciousness,
Which produced completely different behaviors.
which generated completely different chains of cause and effect in the physical world.
It is so liberating to realize it isn't a judgment, it's just mechanics.
Person A generated causes of stagnation. Person B generated causes of growth.
And this divergence doesn't just happen with massive, life-altering events like losing a career.
No, the source material explains that this exact filtering process happens moment to moment based on what our brain literally allows us to see.
Right. This is the concept of the perception filter. The text argues that belief doesn't just change how we interpret big events after they happen, it actually changes what a person is capable of perceiving in real time.
Belief acts as a literal, physiological filter on reality.
Yes.
The crowded room example from the text is the perfect way to visualize this. Imagine walking into a networking event or a party where you don't know many people.
A universally stressful situation for most of us.
Exactly. So you walk in, and deep down, you are holding belief 1. Nobody here is going to like me. I don't belong here.
Okay, so according to the source, because you hold this belief, your brain actively filters the room to find evidence to prove you right.
Someone doesn't immediately make eye contact. Your brain says, see, they hate me.
Someone gives a short answer because they are distracted by the bartender. I knew it! I'm boring!
Meanwhile, 3 different people smiled at you from across the room, but you literally did not register those friendly signals.
Your consciousness deleted them because they didn't match the search query of your belief?
That is so wild. Your experienced reality is hostile and threatening, even if the physical objective reality of the room wasn't.
But then another person walks into the exact same room at the exact same time holding belief too.
There are probably some interesting people here.
They walk in, they notice the warmth, they engage openly, they see the friendly signals because their brain is primed to look for them.
Physical reality didn't change. The room is the room. But the experienced reality changed entirely based on the initial belief.
Right. And this brings us to the centerpiece of the infographic.
Oh man, frankly, when I first looked at this diagram, it felt like I was looking at the exposed wiring of the human mind.
It really does. It breaks this entire process down into an 11-step feedback loop.
I want us to really dissect this because seeing the machinery at work removes all the mystery from how our lives unfold.
Let's do it. It maps exactly how a completely internal, invisible belief eventually crystallizes into a hard physical experience.
Okay, let's trace it using that exact scenario. Walking into a room holding the nobody likes me belief. So step one is a belief. Nobody likes me.
Which leads immediately to step 2, the expectation. I expect to be rejected and ignored tonight.
And that expectation triggers step 3, attention and perception.
This is where the internal starts altering your interaction with the external. Because you expect rejection, your attention is hijacked. You focus exclusively on coldness, on closed-off body language, on people looking away. You perceive a threat.
Which generates step 4, the thought. That person walking away from me proves I don't belong here.
Right.
Now, how do we get from a thought to an emotion?
Because the brain communicates with the body. The thought, I am being rejected, signals the nervous system. Which brings us to step 5, emotion.
So you feel a surge of insecurity, sadness, anxiety, defensiveness. Your heart rate might even increase.
You are now physiologically in a state of defense, which forces step 6, choice. You have to choose how to handle this uncomfortable emotion. You choose to protect yourself.
Which leads directly to step 7, action. You cross your arms, you physically step back into a corner, you look down at your phone, and you scowl to signal that you don't care anyway.
And right there, step 7 is the critical pivot point of the entire loop.
Why is that the pivot?
Because up until step 7, everything was happening inside your own head and body. But the moment you take action crossing your arms, scowling, you introduce a cause into the shared environment.
Yes. Step 8 is cause. My closed-off body language is now a physical cause operating in the real world.
Which creates step 9, effect. Other people in the room see a person scowling in the corner, radiating hostility or disinterest, and they make the logical decision not to bother them.
Leading to step 10, experience. I stand alone for the entire night. Nobody talks to me.
And finally, step 11, new belief, or rather reinforced belief. You go home exhausted and say, see, I knew nobody liked me. I was right all along.
Here's where it gets really interesting. It's like wearing tinted goggles.
Yeah, that's a great way to think of it.
But worse, because if you wear rejection goggles, you act guarded, which makes other people act guarded, which gives you the proof that everyone rejects you.
The expert calls this the closed loop in the text. The belief helps manufacture the very evidence that proves it true. The sequence is flawless. Belief dictates behavior. Behavior dictates environmental response, and environmental response provides confirmation of the belief.
You are literally creating the reality you fear.
And the person inside that closed loop rarely realizes they are the architect of the experience. They genuinely believe the world is just inherently cold and rejecting.
They don't realize their initial internal assumption set an 11-step mechanical sequence into motion that virtually guaranteed that exact outcome.
Exactly.
Okay, I have to pause here because I can hear the manifestation crowd cheering in the background.
Oh, for sure.
Because if my mind is literally generating the reality I experience through this 11-step loop, why can't I just generate $1 million?
Right, the magical thinking comes back.
Right. Why can't I just stand in the room, hold the belief that a bag of cash is going to fall through the ceiling, run through the 11 steps, and get rich? Doesn't the universe just respond to my vibration? Doesn't this prove that my mind controls literally everything?
And that is exactly the trap the source material aggressively dismantles in the very next section. It defines the strict boundaries of belief.
Thank goodness. The text clearly states that belief does not create every event.
No, it doesn't. If we take this 11-step loop and apply it to literally everything, we fall right back into the magical thinking we criticize at the start.
You are not the only cause operating within creation.
The author provides some crucial reality checks here. Because if you don't define the boundaries of this principle, it becomes absurd and, frankly, dangerous.
Let's list some of these reality checks from the source. It says, you can believe with every fiber of your being that you cannot be injured, but if you step off the roof of a 10-story building, gravity still applies.
Gravity does not care about your affirmations or your expectation.
It really doesn't. You can believe you will never be ill. You can hold that belief at the core of your identity. But you do not have absolute dictatorial control over biology.
Viruses exist, genetic predispositions exist, environmental toxins exist.
The example that really hits home in the text is the lottery.
Oh, that's a great one.
The source says you can believe with tremendous conviction that you will win the lottery. You can visualize it, you can feel the emotion of winning, you can run through all the internal steps, but mathematical probability owes you absolutely nothing.
Exactly.
Which makes me ask, if my belief is so powerful, why can't I manifest a lottery win? If the loop works for the networking event, why doesn't it work for the lottery?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it's because the networking event relies on human behavioral interaction, which your actions can directly influence.
Right.
The lottery relies on the physical mass of ping pong balls bouncing around in a plastic tube. The text explains that your belief is just one cause among billions.
Ah, I see.
It lists a vast interconnected web of simultaneous causes operating at all times. Other people's free choices, biological realities, macroeconomic shifts, weather patterns, physical laws, and random probability.
So when I buy a lottery ticket, my positive belief is competing against the mathematical probability of 100 million to 1, plus the physical reality of the machine.
Exactly. My thought isn't going to magically reach out and alter the mass of the number 7 ball.
So you are a participant in reality, not the dictator of it.
Precisely. The deeper teaching here isn't the magical idea that whatever I believe physically happens. The phrase, as you believe, so shall it be done unto you, has been entirely stripped of its nuance in popular culture.
So how do the sources refine that principle? What is the correct, grounded interpretation?
The text offers a much more sophisticated, durable understanding, it says. What I deeply accept as true becomes one of the most powerful causal forces shaping how I experience reality and how I participate in creating what happens next.
How I participate in creating what happens next. I love that distinction.
It's powerful.
I can't control the weather. I can't believe away a hurricane. But my belief dictates whether I see the storm as a total victimization that ruins my life or as a crisis that requires me to adapt, rebuild, and help my neighbors.
You participate in the next step. You don't create the rain, but you create the consequence of the rain in your own life based on the meaning you assign to it and the actions you take in response to it.
But this brings up a huge practical problem.
Okay, what is it?
If we can't control everything, if the economy might crash, regardless of our mindset, or a random illness might strike, or someone else's malicious choices might hurt us, how do we protect ourselves?
Right. If we can't just forcefully think our way out of bad things happening, what are we supposed to do?
Yeah. The source says we have to upgrade our internal operating system from mere optimism to something much more robust.
This is where the text introduces the concept of moving beyond optimism to what they call neutral positive consciousness.
Neutral positive consciousness. The source redefines faith here in a way I have never heard before.
It's a total paradigm shift.
It doesn't frame faith as a religious belief in an external deity who will swoop in and save you from the consequences of life. It defines faith as an internal certainty about how we will meet existence.
That distinction is monumental. Think about standard, everyday optimism. The text defines optimism as the belief that something good will happen.
Like tomorrow will be sunny, I will definitely get the promotion, the test results will come back negative.
Exactly. It's an expectation of a specific preferred outcome.
Right. But what happens when reality doesn't comply?
What happens when it pours rain? What happens when you are passed over for the promotion? Optimism is incredibly fragile because it is entirely dependent on external circumstances cooperating with your desires.
And when reality refuses to cooperate, optimism shatters.
And when optimism shatters, it almost always gives way to despair, cynicism, or victimhood.
Because your entire emotional baseline was riding on the universe, giving you the specific outcome you demanded?
Precisely.
So how does neutral positive consciousness differ from that fragile optimism?
The text defines neutral positive consciousness not as a demand for a good outcome, but as a relentless commitment to a constructive process.
That constructive process.
It's the deep internal conviction that says, whatever happens, whether it is what I wanted or what I feared, I will perceive it accurately, I will understand the causes, I will learn from it, I will maintain my psychological balance, and I will create the most constructive next cause.
Let's just pause and appreciate how bulletproof that is. Whatever happens.
Whatever happens.
If I get the promotion, I'll learn from it, adapt to the new responsibilities, and create the next constructive cause. If I get fired, I'll learn from it, assess my skills, and create the next constructive cause.
If you truly hold that conviction at your core, failure, rejection, and loss are no longer final destinations. They are stripped of their power to destroy your identity.
As the text explicitly states, they just become information.
Failure becomes information. That is a direct quote from the source, and it completely reframes human experience.
Rejection isn't a permanent stain on your worth. It's just information about fit. Loss isn't a punishment from a cruel universe. It's just information about the impermanence of things. Everything becomes usable raw material for the next step.
And that is exactly why this mindset functions as an armor. Creation cannot defeat a neutral positive state of consciousness because that state doesn't require creation to cooperate.
You aren't asking the universe to be gentle.
You aren't asking for a pass on hardship. You are simply stating that whatever the universe delivers, be it a lottery win or a devastating loss, you have the internal machinery to process it into something constructive.
I want to speak directly to you, listening to this right now, because applying this concept is incredibly freeing. Think about the immense pressure of toxic positivity that society pushes on us.
Oh, it's suffocating.
The idea that you have to forcefully paste a smile over a tragedy, or you're somehow attracting negativity into your life. This text is giving you permission to stop doing that. You don't have to pretend that losing a job, or going through a breakup, or getting sick is wonderful. You just have to look at the event neutrally, accept that it happened, and ask, what is the most constructive next step?
You don't have to be happy about it. You just have to be useful to yourself in the aftermath.
It takes all the pressure off. It honors the sometimes brutal reality of existence while completely empowering the individual to navigate it.
But the text is clear that you can't just logically decide to have a neutral positive consciousness one afternoon.
Right, it's not a switch you just flip.
To naturally react this way, to actually process life through this lens when things get hard, we have to look beneath our surface thoughts.
We have to go down to the absolute bedrock of our minds. Which brings us to the root of the entire system: identity and compounding causes.
This is where we finally decode the true meaning of the phrase, "As you believe, so shall it be done unto you."
The infographic maps out that beneath our beliefs about specific outcomes like I'll make more money or I'll get this job are much deeper, often subconscious identity assumptions.
The infographic contrasts limiting identities with empowering identities. And these aren't just thoughts, they're foundational operating rules.
Let's list some. It lists a common limiting identity: I am powerless. The empowering counter-identity is I am capable.
Think about the mechanics of how many surface thoughts and daily behaviors sprout from the single root of I am powerless.
If that is your deep assumption about yourself and your place in the world, it colors every single interaction you have.
You won't ask for a raise because you assume they'll say no. You won't set boundaries in a relationship because you feel you don't have the leverage. You won't try a new hobby because you assume you'll be bad at it.
Another fundamental contrast they list is life is against me versus life contains opportunities for development, or mistakes mean I am a failure versus mistakes are information.
The author's point here is vital for anyone trying to change their life. Changing just one of these fundamental identity assumptions automatically reorganizes hundreds of surface behaviors.
You don't have to try to consciously manage your behavior in every single individual situation.
You don't have to painstakingly force yourself to be brave at work and brave in relationships and brave in your hobbies.
You just change the bedrock assumption to I am capable, and the brave behavior naturally flows upward into all those areas.
So when the ancient phrase says, "As you believe, so shall it be done unto you," it is not asking what you consciously wish would happen today.
It is asking, what have you accepted as reality at the deepest, most structural level of your consciousness?
What is your core identity? Because that identity is the algorithm determining your entire reality.
And this brings us to the most crucial, overarching mechanical principle in the entire text. It's the reason why identity matters so much over the long term: the compounding effect of causes.
Because these deep assumptions don't just affect one isolated moment and disappear, they compound on top of each other over time.
Let's trace it back to the very beginning of the 11-step loop, but map it over a lifetime.
Okay, so an event happens. Before your consciousness evaluates it, it's just a neutral fact. It's just what happened.
Then your deep identity assumption kicks in. Thought assigns meaning. If your core identity is life is against me, the meaning assigned to the event is this is terrible.
If your identity is I am capable, the meaning assigned is this is a challenge showing me something I need to learn.
And as we established with the job loss scenario, the meaning you assign directly changes the next physical cause you introduce into the world.
If you think it's terrible, you withdraw and stagnate. If you think it's a challenge, you adapt and act.
But the mechanics don't stop there. That new cause you just introduced creates a new effect in your environment, which then becomes your next neutral event.
And the cycle repeats. Tomorrow, a new event happens based on the actions you took today. You assign meaning to it. You generate a new cause.
Over months, years, and decades, these tiny differences in the causes you generate compound relentlessly. They build entirely different realities.
It is exactly like a ship altering its course by a single degree.
Oh, I love that analogy.
Right. In the first hour, you look around, and the ocean looks exactly the same. You don't notice a difference. But a week later, because of that 1-degree shift, you are making landfall on a completely different continent.
The tiny behavioral differences compound. And it all started with that one deep belief about who you are and how the universe works.
Which is precisely why the author concludes that creation never needed to judge you, reward you, or punish you.
A judging universe is entirely unnecessary. The law of cause and effect simply remained in operation, executing the code of your deepest beliefs over and over again, allowing you to build your own paradise or your own prison.
It's all mechanics.
So let's bring all of this together. I want to summarize this ultimate causal chain from the text because it is, without exaggeration, the master formula for the human experience.
It really is.
Here is the entire architecture, step by step. As you believe, you perceive. As you perceive, you think. As you think, you feel. As you feel, you choose. As you choose, you act. As you act, you create causes. And according to those causes, effects return to you.
The universe never had to judge you. The law just remained in effect.
It is a beautifully elegant system. It demands absolute personal responsibility. You can no longer blame your circumstances on a cruel universe. But in exchange for that responsibility, it offers absolute freedom.
It does. It gives you the keys to the engine.
But just when you think you have the entire mechanical system figured out, the source text leaves us with a cliffhanger, a profound mystery right at the very end of the material.
Yes, this raises an important question, and the text shifts from psychology to deep philosophy in its closing thoughts.
It's a huge shift.
The author suggests that if all of this is true, if belief systematically dictates our physical interaction with reality through this flawless loop, we have to stop looking at belief purely as a psychological coping mechanism.
You have to ask a much bigger, much stranger question.
The text asks, what actually is consciousness? What is its true fundamental relationship to creation?
If our consciousness is perfectly intertwined with this causal loop, if it can dictate what physical realities manifest out of neutral potential, is the boundary between the observer, us, and the universe, creation, really as absolute as we imagine?
Are we inside the universe, subject to it, or is the universe functioning through us? Are we the universe experiencing itself?
If we aren't just biological accidents wandering through a cold, indifferent space, but rather active, integral components of the causal machinery itself, what does that make us?
It suggests we're much more deeply connected to the fabric of reality than standard Newtonian physics or modern pop psychology usually admits. It implies a participatory universe.
It leaves you looking at your own thoughts in a completely different way. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the sources.
It's been a fascinating look at the material.
As you go about your day-to-day, we encourage you to examine the tinted goggles you might be wearing. Notice the meaning you are assigning to the perfectly neutral events happening around you.
Because the universe isn't a cosmic vending machine waiting to judge your coin.
And it isn't a judge waiting to strike you down. It's just gravity, waiting to see where you decide to step next.